From biblical stories of Abraham's frosty goat milk to King Solomon's iced fruits of paradise, frosty treats have delighted mankind since the earliest records of human history. Yes, we've been screaming for ice cream over the last several thousand years. But the emergence of health-conscious diets in the late 20th century took many cultures by storm. As a result, a platoon of new low-fat goodies emerged. But could this tasty challenger truly seize the frozen throne? Or would it succumb to the perils of so many healthy eating fads? Well, today on Weird History Food, we're discussing frozen yogurt and the FroYo boom. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, leave a comment and let us know what other frozen food-related topics you would like to hear about. Ice cream is one of the oldest and most globally celebrated treats in the history of human experience. For as long as we've been milking cows, man has found a way to pack it in ice and chow down, even if that meant hiking up a mountain to do it. Eventually, humans began finding new techniques to add to their dairy farming skills. This, of course, led to the discovery of ice cream, the thick layer of fatty product skimmed from the top of fresh milk. Once early man figured out a way to mix cream, ice, and a mound of sugar, well, the rest is history. In fact, it is even said that when Italian nobles had their first taste of Chinese ice cream, they kept the recipe a secret from their own people. But with such a simple process, it's no wonder word got out. And before long, ice cream made its way into the commoner's hands by the 18th century. And really, have we ever looked back? Well, it's time you're introduced to cream's healthier, gloopier cousin. That's right, good old yogurt. That tangy, smooth tub of low-fat bacterial upkeep that most only consider breakfast, and a stodgy one at that. Unlike the discovery of cream, early man most likely created yogurt entirely by mistake. A happy accident, if you will, because yogurt is actually made by the fermentation of milk. As lactic acid builds through sugar-busting bacteria, a firm and tart byproduct is created. That's right. If the milk goes bad enough, with just the right amount of bacteria and heat, voila! Yogurt is born. Oddly enough, some experts believe this process may first have occurred when Neolithic tribes mistakenly left milk in animal skin containers for too long. Talk about trial and error. Wouldn't want to be that taste tester.
Where's the juice? No, where's the juice?
Although yogurt most likely came about during the Stone Age, it would take a remarkable amount of time before the product took on its final form. While mankind jumped at the chance to freeze up some creamy goodness, it wasn't until the 1970s that someone applied that frigid attitude to yogurt. As to the who of it all in regards to frozen yogurt's creation, well, that's a little sticky. Although many credit H.P. Hood as the inventor, there were actually several Massachusetts entrepreneurs working under that name at the time. All we really know is that sometime in the 70s, the H.P. Hood and Sons Dairy Company began offering a soft-serve delight they dubbed Frogurt. The company's history of Frogurt's development is oddly murky, which may lead one to consider that frozen yogurt was as much a happy accident as yogurt itself. Perhaps a cold storage unit malfunctioned, freezing a large swath of Hood's yogurt stock. Maybe a nameless employee decided to give the frozen mess a taste, just for fun. Hey, this is pretty good. Whatever the true story, the results wound up being distributed by Bloomingdale's department stores, who had requested a low-fat frozen option for its customers. Soft-serve Frogurt proved to be a big hit with a growing number of health-conscious shoppers, and by the late 70s, the recipe had busted out into the streets. Everything Yogurt opened its first New York City location in 1976, and was the first frozen yogurt company to truly make a mark. Bolstered by their too-cool-for-fatty-foods attitude and the glitz and glam of big city eating, the company spread across the nation. Soft-serve frozen yogurt's popularity would continue to rise during the 80s, and Everything Yogurt spawned over 200 franchise locations by the end of the decade. As consumers became more familiar with frozen yogurt, new brands began to pop up like freezer crystals on a forgotten tub of vanilla. Many of these companies were regionally based, as frozen yogurt was often seen as a hip, sleek, but niche product. One of the first brands to tackle the demand for frozen yogurt was a traditional Boston ice cream shop called Brigham's. Unlike their soft-serve competitors, Brigham's developed a frozen yogurt that could be packaged and sold retail. This firmer, more compact form of frozen yogurt had the same zest and tang of soft-serve, but the added texture was a major hit with Boston Freezy fanatics. Fortunately for the rest of us, this advancement to the Frogurt formula made it possible for the product to be cold-shipped around the country. But that wasn't the end of soft-serve frozen yogurt dessert dominance. The first TCBY location was opened in Little Rock, Arkansas by Frank D. Hickenbotham. Originally, the company's initials stood for "This Can't Be Yogurt," as a fun play on the so-called healthy eating benefits of the ice cream replacement. Due to a copyright claim from a competitor, this was changed to "The Country's Best Yogurt," but the sentiment was clear. Much like the endless flavor opportunities of a Baskin-Robbins ice cream shop, TCBY implemented the "Any Flavor Goes" policy with similar gusto, offering exotic palate teasers like peanut butter, tropical fruits, bubblegum, and cotton candy. TCBY also provided a wide array of toppings: candy bars, cereals, sugared fruits, and bakery goods, all of which would soon become staples at frozen yogurt locations across the country. Although TCBY and similar soft-serve locations would continue to thrive throughout most of the 90s, the new millennium saw a major decline in sales. As Y2K fears began to arise, consumers decided they had had enough TCBY. Perhaps this was a response to the growing concern that frozen yogurt may not be quite as healthy as proprietors claimed. As the internet invaded the modern household, so too did information. So-called expert opinions could now be verified without a Consumer Report subscription. When companies like TCBY began introducing bigger, bolder flavors and wilder topping options, this added more sugar to a product that already requires more than even some ice cream. For some, the beneficial probiotics that occur naturally in yogurt were a big reason to go Frogurt. But as many discovered online or on the news, these claims could be negligible, as the freezing process possibly deters positive bacteria when yogurt is frozen. Throughout the early aughts, it seemed like frozen yogurt's time in the icebox had come to a close. With hilarious Seinfeld digs and growing concern over choosing a lesser evil,
Que rico!
Suave. And it's non-fat.
How could this not have any fat? It's too good.
frozen yogurt became something of a punchline. That all changed with a new wave of treat consumption in the 2010s. Whether it was due to less volatile times or an accelerated path to hedonism, many American consumers began seeking higher highs from their desserts. From all-night cookie chains sprouting up in every college town to the big cupcake boutique phenomenon that swept across both coasts, Sweet Tooths came back in a big way. Perhaps this can be attributed to a growing fascination with social media. Who can forget the first time they saw a cereal-laden donut on Instagram? Or all those mouth-watering full-cake milkshake Facebook photos. As with many other grammable desserts, soft-serve frozen yogurt saw its chance to shine and soon took the spotlight. One of the first buzzworthy frozen boutiques, Sweet Frog, opened its first location in Richmond, Virginia. An early dominating force in the new wave of frozen yogurt, Sweet Frog was actually a faith-based brand. The frog stands for Fully Rely on God. Whether or not this Abrahamic callback was well known by consumers, the brand soon spread across the nation and became the standard. Although it might seem unexpected that devout faith and unhealthy eating could intertwine so successfully, there is an undeniably quaint outlook on ice cream and frozen treat shops in Americana. This wholesome, family-driven approach harkens back to the soda fountain and mom-and-pop pharmacy shops of post-war America. This image has prevailed throughout the years and continues to be a major factor in branding success today. On the other hand, another major player in the early FroYo game took an entirely different approach with equal success. Pinkberry locations began to appear all over the West Coast as Sweet Frog took an early lead in the East. But unlike their faith-filled competitor, Pinkberry served an aesthetic similar to lifestyle brands. Much like social media influencer accounts of its day, Pinkberry soft-serve shops featured sharp edges, minimalist design, and plenty of opportunities for selfies. As Sweet Frog and Pinkberry made their way across major metros, smaller, regional soft-serve FroYo stands began operating in tandem. With similar names like Orange Leaf, Yogurtland, Tutti Frutti, and Red Mango, these shops and brands skyrocketed to the top of dessert sales. Many of these shops featured rotating or seasonal flavors with catchy names and insane possibilities. Paired with all manner of toppings, mochi pillows, bursting boobas, fresh fruits, and drizzle syrups, these shops became the coolest spot in any town. And as we took more and more photos of our sugary, swirled concoctions, so too did the stores expand and overextend. Competitors sprung up and blew away like vape shops in a strip mall. The old guard held on by the skin of their teeth. Flavor fads came and went. Hopes and dreams were crushed by the impending doom of high rent and low profit in an oversaturated market. And less than a decade into the FroYo war campaign, it seemed like things may have begun to thaw. As sales declined and interest waned, many shops began to close. The aughts were a time of rising and falling foodie fads, and frozen yogurt bars seemed like just another wounded soldier. But as we all know, the COVID virus had unprecedented consequences on the food service industry, and by late 2020, FroYo became an outright casualty. In the sweet, goopy remnants of the FroYo wars, new food trends arose like flowers on the battlefield. Once a fan favorite frozen yogurt topping for many Americans, popping bobas found a new life. Boba tea companies like Gocha and Boba Heaven have reintroduced the delightful gushers into their traditional form. Meanwhile, crumble cookies have also upped the gotta snap 'em all bakery goods game. From cold-serve cookies to seasonal flavors, these cookies are showing up all over the country with nearly 1,000 locations. Although food-related Instagram posts have gotten more sophisticated over the years, you can always count on the power of nostalgia. Who doesn't miss giving those lovers a pull to get a swirl of some frozen yogurt, or sidling up to the toppings bar for a dash of Cap'n Crunch and 2 pounds of bobas? But what does a self-serve FroYo bar look like in a post-pandemic world? How do we reconcile with the steep per-pound costs of soft serve with less cash to burn? Well, perhaps the future holds another Frogurt surprise somewhere down the line. Frozen yogurt has done it before, and it just might do it again. So what do you think? Is it time for a new wave of FroYo dominance? Which soft-serve toppings do you miss the most? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, check out some of these other videos from our Weird History Food.